The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is an actress, a writer, and a TV show host. Her name is Janet Miranda. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today.
So,
I'm really pleased to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you.
So, you're a friend of JT's too, right?
Yes, I am. JT's like the mayor, I told you.
I know. He's actually the casting director of this show. It's interesting. I always meet so many interesting people in film and sometimes outside of film as well. But so you're into film, is that correct?
Yes, although a lot of my training has been, stage training.
Oh, really?
Theater training. I transferred that to film and to television. That happens to be the, more opportunities are available for me in television and film. So, right. But I love stage too, and I'll do it as much as possible.
Right, so when did you start? When did your interest start in acting?
I think I was about 3 or 4 years old when. That's as far as I could remember, actually.
Right.
And my mom had me and my brother Dave perform for our family members that lived in my building in Brooklyn. And they would come upstairs right smack on Ocean Avenue.
Wow.
I'm a proud Brooklynite.
There you go. Well, I'm from the Bronx, so hey.
I understand that. So, we performed for family members growing up, and it was so much fun. And, I got to play dress up and, put on a little blush and a little dress and, dance and sing. And so that was kind of like, the beginning, the start.
Right.
My mom is like the real actress in the family, so I didn't really need official training, but I ended up getting it.
So where did you go to get your training?
So I started with acting teachers in Brooklyn. I went to a performing arts high school, Edward R. Murrow High School. Then I studied in college, and I pursued various schools in Manhattan. And then I ended up meeting a wonderful mentor who's a very successful actor. And he said, your acting technique sucks. You need to start over.
Right.
And I found the amazing Sandra Lee. Sandra Lee is incredible. 78th Street Theater Lab. I owe her.
Cool.
Yeah. So between her and 3 other teachers, they are really the ones that made Janet Miranda. They gave me technique and a lot of. They took a lot of crap from me, until I was able to really get down to the core and really understand what it is to be an actor.
Right.
Not just listen, but, be able to get to those dark places through various techniques and sense memory and so on. Right. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Right. But when it happens, when you're in that part and you're not acting and you're really living that part, it's like probably one of the most incredible feelings you could have.
I tell you that for me, it is a time when I can breathe fully. On the other hand, there are some parts of that kind of stay with me. For example, I did a horror film a year and a half ago, and I had to do a lot of research for this horror film, and I really lived that horror film. Mm-hmm. I really lived that part. And believe it or not, it really just sat within me. A lot of the things that were going on with my character sat within me, and it was challenging the first month to kind of escape the character, but I was able to do it. And it's more difficult to escape the character if you're playing it for a longer time. Like I'm playing in this wonderful, wonderful movie about this hero. It's also at a time when the Holocaust was taking place. I play this Italian woman in the Garden of Thorns, and we're still working on this film. And I tell you, the tragedies that this woman goes through, and to actually live those tragedies through. I mean, there are points where, she can't feed her children. I mean, the feeling of not being able to feed your kids.
Right. I know. I can understand that because I have kids, and
I have kids too.
Right. So it's a terrible place to go.
I mean,
but at the same time, at some point you could leave that place. Even though it's tough to leave that place, at least you know
Thank God.
that it's a place to visit, and you know you can go there if you want to. I love acting. I mean, to me, there's no such thing as a bad day in acting, unless for some reason you can't remember your lines or something like that, if you're not prepared. The only time that's a bad time is if you're not prepared.
Yes.
But it's the best feeling in the world, being on a set and just being free.
I mean, the energy is crazy. And Uta Hagen, I mean, her book, An Actor Prepares.
That's it.
So, yes, I think that you definitely should prepare. I mean, I have to say I don't necessarily have like a favorite with respect to like action or horror, drama, or comedy. I love doing them all.
Right.
I love just, you know, whatever role I get, I just fall in love with my characters, and I really do the homework.
Right.
You know, so...
Well, there's a way for us to really see if your words are true.
Yeah.
You brought a clip with you, right?
I
It's
did.
your actual reel.
I did. I brought my acting
Would you
reel.
like to share that reel with our audience?
Please.
Okay, so I'd like to share Janet Miranda's reel with all of you, and we'll see how great an actress she is.
Oh my God.
How did you get in here?
I never did get these back from you. By the way, my condolences. I would have came to the funeral, but I didn't think you wanted to see me. It's a shame we never found his body.
Tell me, did you miss me?
It's so good to see you. What the?
Girl needs a little protection these days.
Bella, what's going on? You in some kind of trouble?
Oh, it's too much to get into. Besides, I'd much rather celebrate with you. Well, what do you mean?
You know, when you hug me.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, that's how Stacy is. Always looking for an angle. You know, I kind of wish we didn't leave her that message. Because you know she's going to use it in the promo.
Well, of course she will. And she won't come back tonight, will she?
No, not tonight. But, what were you saying?
Well, what about, you know, us?
Oh, don't worry. They're going to get you some sexy co-ed who's going to perk things up, you know? Detective, how long have you been working here?
Many years.
How many is many?
Like 12 years.
Detective Torres, your report is like your speech. Inadequate. This location is the most active location I have ever been a part of. In fact, the activity here is so strong that we've hardly been able to capture any audio or video.
No, Mommy.
Do I look like your mommy?
But you gotta go. When he comes back, he brings one little girl.
When who comes back?
The bad man, Mommy. He brought me here when my other parents lost me.
Your other parents.
The ones who took care of me after you left me. Why did you leave me?
Tara?
Yes, Mommy.
No. Tara is alive.
Don't say that.
Sign it. Sign. You know those accusations about my father were never proven? He had no trial. You know that.
We design and distribute missiles for the government. They consider him a traitor.
You're the traitor.
Bella.
How do you believe what they're saying? And in the same hour of his funeral, you turn around and you stab him in the back. You meet with your so-called lawyers to execute your so-called
Will the real Janet Miranda please stand up? No, that was awesome. So many different roles.
Thank you so much.
It was great. You look great on film.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, how many years was that, or is that how many years on that?
On the reel?
Yeah.
The reel is probably there's variations in there in within the last 3 years or so.
Right.
You know.
Do you enjoy all those parts, or were there any parts in there that you enjoyed the most? Or
I got to tell you, I absolutely love every character that I've played.
Right.
When I can actually live the part, understand the circumstances, and really make choices that are true, there's just no better feeling, you know. And I have to say that I also really love, you know, being able to dress up like the character.
Right.
You know, my teacher always says some people are innies and outies, and some people are just kind of both.
Right.
The innie is like, you know, organic within yourself, find yourself actor. But I kind of like to do both. I also like to, you know, dress the part.
Right.
You know.
And I guess I've had both kinds of experiences as an actor as well, and it's fun. Sometimes when you're playing someone else, you have to dress the part as well as being, you know, but you also have to find the truth from within as well.
Yes.
But dressing the part is fun, and sometimes that requires changing hair color, and
Yeah.
changing makeup, and
Yeah.
growing. In case of a guy growing a beard or a mustache or something like that, it's fun.
In the movie that I'm working on right now, actually, The Garden of Thorns, my character has a short bob. So I've been able to find a awesome wig, and I've been able to kind of manipulate my hair in a way that I can get away with the wig. Thank God.
Right.
Because I really, you know, didn't want to cut my hair.
Yeah. But when you wear wigs, I've always wondered about wigs, because when you tuck your hair back, doesn't that add like volume to the size of your head or something like that? You
So
know?
there's a method.
Okay.
There's a complete method, and let me tell you, I've done my research.
Right.
You know.
So in this film, who else is starring in it besides you?
The Garden of Thorns?
Yes.
You guys can check out the IMDb and see there's plenty of actors on there.
Right.
I don't want to call anybody out without having their permission.
Yes.
But you know, it's definitely on IMDb. You can check it out.
So when is it planning to wrap? Do you know?
2018.
Right.
I also have some projects that are going to be taking off in 2018.
Cool.
Some of those projects are my own.
Right.
You know, my own writing. Other projects that I'm involved in, again, if you check out IMDb, you'll see there's a film there that I'm really excited about. I can't speak a lot about it right now,
Right.
but there's some good stars that are attached to it. So I'm really, really grateful to the universe. I've been doing this for a really long time, and it's really not easy to get a big break, if you know what I mean.
I know. I was fortunate earlier in my life that I had a pretty good break, but then then I haven't had. I mean, I've done some commercials and stuff like that, but I do.
What was your break?
I worked on Cagney and Lacey, which was a television show back in the
That's
80s in Hollywood.
awesome.
But I lived in Hollywood. You know, like when you live in Hollywood, chances are you're going to wind up working on a show. At least back in the 80s, and it seemed much easier then. There were a lot less shows. I mean, a lot less shows that they were filming back in those days, and a lot less actors. I really think back then, and I was in the right place at the right time when I was young. So I mean, those things, it worked out for me. But and I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, you were saying that you worked on a show, and
Right.
so
Yeah, but it was great working on shows, and I forgot exactly what direction I was
the
going.
big break.
Oh, the big break. Okay, so the big break for me was actually one director, and the director's name was James Frawley, and his father was William Frawley, who played Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy, and James Frawley was the director for The Monkees, and the television show The Monkees, and a whole bunch of other shows. And he gave me my first line on Cagney and Lacey, and then after that I was SAG, and it was like it was incredible.
Bravo.
And then I was on the show for another 3 years, which was pretty incredible.
That's amazing. I'm telling you, I've been with SAG for about maybe like 7 years now.
Right.
It's not easy to get in there, but thank God. I mean, I I made it in there as well.
Right.
I'm sure, you know,
But-
getting a line is like a definite way in.
Right, and it was great. And it just also, I didn't even know who he was until afterwards, that I didn't know he was really, you know, he would talk about his father being a famous guy in Hollywood, you know, and to find out that he was William Frawley. I had no idea. You know, when you're in Hollywood, you meet everyone who are children of stars, all this stuff, and it's like, you think that's the way life is going to be, and then you come to New York in you know, the 2000s, and then you realize that life has changed. I mean, it's tougher out there now, right?
I mean, you know, I think that there's enough opportunity out there for all of us. At the end of the day, I believe in, you know, the laws of attraction, and I do believe that, you know, if you're destined to do something or be somewhere or be a part of a particular project, you will be a part of that project.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But you have to, yeah, you can make it happen, but sometimes you can't. I mean, there are a lot of actors out there trying to make it, and right now I think there are more parts out there that are being unpaid versus paid and things like that, and it's rough out there. You know,
there are some people, again, quoting my teacher, Sandra Lee, there are some people who act because, you know, they get paid to do it, and other people act because they have to.
Right.
So for the artist that's acting because they have to, they just have that inner light within them that's burning
That's true.
within them. They will find the work. They will make the work. They will grab things from nowhere and make it into something amazing.
Right.
You
It's
know,
true.
a
It's true.
creative individual will find something to do.
And also, creative individuals have a tendency to find other creative individuals to be
That's
on their
right.
projects.
That's right.
So it's always interesting. It's been a great trip for me. So what new projects are you working on?
I have a project that I'm getting. I have a fashion show that I'm going to be doing.
Oh wow.
It's a fashion television show. Actually, it looks like about 20 minutes ago I got cast to do some news.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
So I'll be doing a news show, which is awesome. And I'm going to be doing that big movie that I told you about that's on IMDb.
Right.
And then I have some of my own projects that are really close to my heart. One of them is Adrenaline.
Right.
It is a TV series that I am going to be pitching this year. It took me about 7 years to put it together and film it and produce it. Oh my God, it has been a road. But I believe it is such an awesome show. I'd love to share it with you guys.
Okay, well, we actually have a copy of it
Oh my
today.
God.
Could you believe it?
You have a copy of the trailer?
Of the trailer,
Wow,
absolutely.
exciting. I would
so
love to
you know
share
what? Let's share this trailer with our audience. And
Thank
what's
you.
it? It's Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Well, we'll find out why it's called Adrenaline, I guess, right?
I guess.
Okay, so enjoy.
The search continues for Anthony Sorciolo. Anthony is the director of science and technology, overseeing employees carrying out the government's intelligence mission.
Today is your lucky day.
What do you mean you can't do the job?
You guys okay?
This is very disappointing. Do you know what? Listen, I had my men sweep the ground in the swamp.
Let's go, let's go.
How do you believe what they're saying? It's my family business.
He's out there, and I need to find him.
I'm not going to tell you again. Stay away, damn it. Stop moving! Not need this kind of threat.
Bro, you can't do this.
2140 Nat Street. Officer needs backup.
You got 2 days. Handle your business.
Wow, that was excellent. That was fantastic. And I saw Steve Stanulis' name in there.
Yes, Steve
Wow.
is one of the stars. I mean, they're all stars. All of the actors and everyone in this project, everyone from from grip to camera folks to the PAs.
But Steve's a big name. That's great that he got on this. He doesn't just go into any project. So this must be, I mean, it looks like it's a great project.
It's a great project, and
That's
Steve
awesome.
is a really good friend.
Cool.
And he and I are actually looking to do a play together this year.
Well, he's a very talented
He's a
guy.
very talented actor. I'm really looking forward to working with him again.
And
And
I
he's
saw-
one of the stars in Adrenaline.
And is it Dominic Chinese?
It's Dominic Chinese Jr. It's
it's his son?
It's his son.
Oh, my
Uncle
God.
Junior from The Sopranos.
And you've worked with his father, right?
I interviewed his father.
I know. I saw that on another clip that we don't have today, but I saw that clip. It was, I mean, I was looking, and it was on Vinnie Vella's show, right?
Yes, it was on the Vinnie Vella show. I do some TV hosting.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much. You know, as I said before, a creative person creates.
Right.
So whatever avenue they have, you know, Adrenaline is definitely something really close to my heart.
Right.
Steve plays a wonderful role. I mean, his part is like a roller coaster of emotions. And you guys will have to watch Adrenaline to see what I mean by that.
And when do you anticipate this coming out?
I'm pitching it in March to a pretty big network.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that. There's some things cooking with the film festivals on a film that I put together about 10 years ago, a short film that I did. It was called Christmas Card, and from that film, we've been editing it, and we created a short film from it, and that's going into festivals this year.
Great.
And one of the greatest projects that I can share with you is my little children's book that's going to be released this year.
Oh, that's cool.
It's Hyper Harley.
I wish we had a picture of it, but Holly?
Hyper Harley.
Harley.
Yes, and the book is really specifically geared for children,
Right.
But specifically to help little kids find ways to manage ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Right.
The way that the book was written is it's written in verse, so it's poetic and beautifully illustrated by Angela Rago. I have to give her a shout out. Angela Rago, thank you so much for your brilliant, magical art. The art just jumps off the page and just...
And a beautiful name, too.
Angela Rago is a beautiful woman. Maybe you should have her on your show.
Well, I like having beautiful women on the show.
Thank you. I'll make that appointment for you. She's actually a wonderful artist.
Wow, that's
so cool. Yes, and she's a fine artist, and she was nice enough to work with me on Hyper Harley and illustrate the most beautiful pictures. I can't wait to share it with the whole world and show you guys what Hyper Harley means to me.
And do you think it'll help kids with ADHD?
You know what? I can tell you that ADHD has personally affected my life.
Okay.
And it is through my experience that I share with the world different behavior modifications, a change in diet, and a routine for children that are having this challenge.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference.
Right. The thing is, I used to work for the National Center for Learning Disabilities, and a lot of times people or kids with ADHD get diagnosed with learning disabilities when they're not really learning disabilities. It's just issues of attention. And,
I'm so glad you said that. I've studied the topic of ADHD for over a decade.
Right.
As I said, it affected me personally, so I had to make sure that I find, the best techniques possible. And I made sure that there were no labels put on, as far as, learning disabilities and all of that other stuff.
Right.
It becomes very difficult because it's so easy to tag a label on somebody.
Right.
And that label could change their life.
Absolutely.
And, I truly believe in, inspiring people and pouring good, great energy into them that feed their soul,
Right.
But when you tell someone that they have like a disability,
Right.
because, in essence, they may be not processing certain foods the right way,
Right.
or, they may need a specific routine to help them through the day,
Right.
to help them stay focused. It doesn't make them, any
Right.
more challenging than another child who may have, some other issue like, asthma, or I'm not comparing the two, I'm just saying.
But you're right. And also, a lot of times these disabilities are misdiagnosed. They're not really disabilities. But you're right. A kid gets tagged with a disability. And and they carry that baggage. The one thing they do get, though, is they get accommodations, which is also a good thing for kids who actually have learning disabilities. But for kids who are misdiagnosed, it's probably the worst thing in the world that can happen to them.
Yeah, and it's also giving those kids a kind of like a green light to, fly through life with those accommodations unnecessarily. Right? Because in the real world, you're not going to have those accommodations because you have ADHD, right?
That's correct.
You're not going to be able to have a longer time to perform your job duty at a job, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to create individuals who will be successful, good human beings on Earth.
And in that regard, it's not that the kids have a problem. It's the teachers who aren't able to reach the kids, because all these kids have minds that are willing to learn. You just have to really go in there and help them. In that regard.
I totally agree with you, Alan. I got to tell you, about 30, 40 years ago.
Yes.
What ADHD? What? Where was it?
This
is just something that has really grown in its own shell, and just like you said, it's probably because people, are having a little bit of a hard time managing personalities. But, just like anything else, if you're consuming a food that you're allergic to, or, if an alcoholic, for example, consumes a lot of, alcohol, they're not going to react the same way that someone else who's not an alcoholic consumes a lot of alcohol. They're going to have a different effect, So I think that children who actually have, attention challenges, perhaps,
It's diet. A lot of it is diet.
So please read
and
my book.
sugar and things like this. So much sugar, all this stuff.
You said it.
Right. That's the biggest drug, I think, that we have to deal with. And then also one of the bad things is the sugar substitutes, which are really not good for you either. So it's moderation is always the key.
Moderation is the key, and I got to tell you,
Except in acting.
That's right. I got to tell you, with the sugar, it's not so much the natural sugar that you find in fruits.
It's a processed.
Right. So it is the processed sugar that's really hurting these kids.
And the processed wheat and all the processing of foods and meats and fast foods.
40 years ago, they didn't have a lot of these processed foods. 50, 60 years ago, in the 1930s and 40s, you didn't really have a lot of these processed foods.
I mean, there were issues, but it seems like it's really blown up, even with the spectrum of autism and all these different things. It just seems like things have just blown up out of proportion. It's crazy.
And they're so different. I mean, when you start looking into all of these things and discovering, just as you said, they're just so different. Every child deserves a real chance. And I find that, because, schools are the ones that make the recommendations preliminarily, and they suggest that perhaps it's difficult to have a child that has a faster attention span, which means that they process things a bit quicker than other people. If anything, that doesn't make them.
Right. It's just a process. They have a chip that's faster in their brain.
A faster computer would make you kind of better. Not to say that they're better. I'm just
but everyone's different, and
different.
and unfortunately, one thing always remains the same on this show, and it's what I always say when there's only one thing left to say. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.